Alright, what's up there, YouTube? How's it going? Alright, today I want to talk to you a little bit about how I was wrong about the CPU being the bottleneck in some games and not the bottleneck in others. And I've also made a decision to... Oh, heck, what is this? What's this over here? I got a box here from Amazon. Oh, what's in this? It's a box from Amazon. Let's open it up and see. Let's take a look, see what this is. What is this? What? How could this be a... How could this be a Ryzen 1800? What? What in the heck? Ryzen 7 1800X. Little stickers undone right here on the bottom. Look there. It's got a big box with nothing in it but this little processor. Now let me tell you what I decided to do. This was my... That's a pretty cool little AMD Ryzen 7 sticker in there with it. Ryzen 7 1800X. I'm not even going to pull it out of the plastic because it's going back. And I'm going to explain to you why it's going back. Alright, here it is. There's the pre-order that I did. Ryzen. Okay. Reason why this is going back. Sweet little chip. Don't have a motherboard to put it in yet. So I had to wait it anyway. So I'm basically not even taking it out. I'm just sticking it back in this little box. Running out to the Amazon drop-off and returning it. I didn't even use it in any way, shape, or form. I just... This little sticker, this little... By the way, this little sticker here, little certification sticker, it was already unstuck. I mean, it had already came loose. I had pre-ordered this CPU. By the way. The reason why I'm returning this Ryzen is because I got the 1700. And you're probably wondering, why in the heck did you get the 1700 when you had the 1800X? You had the top of the line. 4.1 gigahertz on one core. These things overclock to right at 4 gigahertz on all 8 cores. Well, so does the 1700. The 1700 overclocks to 3.9 right at 4. So it's less than 5% difference between this and the other one. And I figure $170 difference it'd make more sense for me to spend that on, like, say, a new video card. Now that I could probably use, because maybe a new video card would get me more frames per second in games and stuff like that, even than this or anything else that I put in my system, or another SSD. So I went ahead and ordered. I already ordered a 1700 before I even got this return on this. I ordered a 1700, and it's on its way. There's my pre-order for my 1800 master packing slip. I'm just gonna hold on to that, I guess. I ordered a power supply, Seasonic 650 watt. I ordered a Seasonic 650 watt power supply. I've got a 750 Lee power supply in my computer now, and since I've been taking hard drives, I've got a lot less hard drives in there now, and I'm only going to have like one hard drive in the new system, and I'll eventually pull it out too and just have like 1 or 2 SSDs and a MSATA SSD for my boot drive. So there's no real reason to have there's an M.2 SATA for my SSD. For my boot drive, there's no real reason to have a 750 watt power supply when I'm only going to run one video card. I have no inclination to upgrade and have it where I can run like 2 video cards. I'm not going to run SLI. I've never have, never will, or whatever, Crossfire or SLI. I'm just not going to do it. So I'll just get a better video card. I'd get the 1080 Ti before I'd get 2 of another card. I know AMD likes to do that, but whatever. Anyway, so that was my idea. Is I could use that 170 some odd dollars for something else, and I'm getting almost the exact same performance out of the 1700. So when I pre-ordered the 1800, no reviews had come in yet because nobody had gotten it. So I went ahead and pre-ordered it, and I almost canceled the pre-order when I found out that it wouldn't overclock very well. And I thought, well, maybe it was the new boards, but it looks like it's only going to overclock to like 4.1, maybe 4.2 if you're lucky. So if I can get 3.9 to 4 gigs on the 1700, I'll be happy with that. I'm running at 3.2 on this now, so on my system now, and it's only a 6 core. So I'll be much better off with an 8 core running at almost 4 gigahertz. So that'll be good. That's fine. That's fine with me. And I can wait and see if the silicon gets better or whatever, upgrade then. But anyway, my point about the processor, right now my processor is pegged at 100% because my processor is the bottleneck. See? So if my processor is the bottleneck, the other ones, granted, encoding video uses more processing power because when I play like Battlefield 1, my processor doesn't go to 100% because at that point my video card's the bottleneck. But if I had a faster video card, my processor would be the bottleneck again. So it's back and forth. But right now, encoding video, my processor is the bottleneck. It's running at 100%, and it's encoding as fast as it can, and it can't go any faster. So that was the thing that was kind of interesting about the 7700K is the 7700K on Battlefield 1 against the 1800 and against the 1700 and those, it was running the 1700 and 1800 AMD chips were running at about like 90% on one core, and then the other cores were dropping down to like 50 and 40% and 30%, and then the logical cores were even less. The physical cores were like 60, 70, but the logical cores were like from 20 to 30%. They were even less on the logical cores, while on the 1700K, all cores were at like 90%, including the logical and the other one. So obviously that's a software thing, and obviously pushing that processor's pushed to its max. If you look at this Battlefield 1 benchmark, you'll see this is the Ryzen 1700 on the left and the i7 7700K on the right. Now, if you remember what I said the other day about games not actually being a good measure of performance of a chip, obviously I was wrong. So I admit it when I'm wrong. Look at the performance. It's actually clocking at 98%, 95%. Now it's not constant. It's not as constant as it is with rendering because the CPU will catch up with the video card, and the video card will spit out more frames occasionally depending on what you're looking at. So in this scene, obviously, you had a lot of dust and particles and different stuff. And of course, that's why the GPU was used 95%. This one here, the GPU is being used more, 97%. And you'll see that it's actually using most of the CPU. But you notice these ones that are at 33%, 25%, 28%. I think those are and 44%, while one's being at 83%. One is at 69%, one's at 64%. I mean, it's 73%. So it's pretty well rounded, but there's a lot that are real low, like these 34%, 28%. That's not hardly even being used. 33%. So in this instance, the Ryzen isn't being used to its full potential because these cores are not maxed out. Also, Ryzen is not the bottleneck here. See, this is a 1080p benchmark is what it's from. This is from to 1080p, and they're showing CPU at 1080p 98%. So in this one, if you look, it looks like the i7 7700K is actually on the right here it's actually the bottleneck. It's closest to bottlenecking. It's at 95%. While the Ryzen 1700, it's not bottlenecking. It's not even close. The closest you get is 83%. That's lower than the highest one here. So, and there's a lot of low cores. These low cores, I believe, are the logical cores instead of the physical cores. So the physical cores are jumping up to 69, 65, 58. So it's splitting the physical cores up a lot better than. But even if you just took just the physical, you've got 8 physical cores here, while you've only got 4 physical ones here. But obviously, see how the rest of them, even the logical cores on the 7700K, are being utilized. So, if anything, this one on the right has no room to make any better, while this one on the left has tons of room for improvement, 41%, 25%. It obviously has a lot more room of utilization, so it can still has plenty of room to be used. So, this Ryzen 1700, if these were all at 95%, and these were at 95%, this one here would have a whole lot more computing horsepower to. Actually, it seems like this should have a higher frames per second, much higher than this one, because it has double the CPUs, double the threads. So it should be able to double the threads, and half of them aren't even being used. So it's fairly close even right here, side to side. It's fairly close. It's a fairly close benchmark, but the Ryzen's not even hardly being used. That was kind of my point. The games do benefit from a fast CPU. Obviously, this one's clocked. This 7700K is probably clocked a lot higher than the Ryzen. So it is pushing this CPU to its limit at 1080p or whatever this resolution is. It's pushing the CPU to its limit. But this CPU is at its limit. This one is not. It's nowhere near its limit. It's one core is at 83%. That's it. That's not even close to its limit. This is at 95, 98%. That's to its limit. 98%, that's full CPU usage just about. So that was what I was trying to say the other day, and I actually jumped the gun and said that games don't push the horsepower, which they don't as much as a constant, but they still do. They don't constantly push all your cores to 100% like when you render video or use it for a workstation. But obviously Battlefield 1 pushes all the cores to 98% on this 7700K. You can improve the 1700 and make it run Battlefield 1 at higher frames per second. This one can't go any higher. This is it. That's the max you can get. The 7700K will never render Cinebench and render video as fast as this one, unless they crippled this one. No amount of optimization for this 7700K would make it render video as fast as this Ryzen 1700. But plenty of optimization can make this 1700 run games as fast as this 7700K, because it's not even using all of the CPU. So I gotta run. I gotta go drop this 1800X off, but all my stuff is coming in on. I'm getting some stuff tomorrow. I think my motherboard's coming tomorrow. I'm getting some of my stuff on Saturday, but my new 1700 is coming on Tuesday, so it won't be until Tuesday of this next week. But when I do get the motherboard in, I'll give you my thoughts and impressions on the motherboard and anything else that I get. I'm going to tell you how the Western Digital Black MSATA, how that thing's doing, what kind of performance it gets, and I'm also going to render a video on this exact system that I'm used to doing. I'm going to render one of my projects, and then I'm going to move this computer into this box, the computer that I have now, into this box, SATA IDE drive, the SATA drive,
IDE,
the SSD. The same SSD with Windows on it, all the same programs, everything in this box down here is moving into this box here. This system has 24 gigs of RAM. I only ordered 16 gigs of the other because I wanted to test it first. Then I'm going to order another 16 gigs. It's not because I didn't want to order 16 gigs. I wanted to make sure 32 gigs would work on the system. But I went ahead and got 16. So I'm going to have this, and then I'm going to build the AMD system in that box, and I'm going to swap the video card, so it's going to have the same video card and everything, and I'm going to render the project And then I'm going to turn around and render the exact same project in the exact same version of Premiere, exact same everything, render it on the new 1700. Anyway, so I'll update that, and that'll be next week sometime by the time I get this thing built together, because I don't get the parts until the rest of the parts till Tuesday. But I got to run because I got to go drop this thing off. When do I have to drop it off by? Till 8 o'clock p.m. But I'm trying this new Amazon. I'll let you guys know how this thing works. When there's a new return thing, you can drop it off at a locker. I don't know. It says locker information. It tells me what locker to bring the thing, and my locker pin is, and it gives me a pin number for for the locker where I'm going to be dropping this fantastic AMD processor off. Anyway, holler at you later. See ya.